guys, Cubscout Eric. Welcome back to another adventure today, guys. We're at the one place where Davy Crockett was, so we're gonna go check out. Oh, this looks really cool. There's a bunch of like animal skins and all that. There's like where they would like write something. There's fire. I think that this looks like a little bed. This cabin looks really cool, and how they like would put mud in it and then like to fill in the gaps, and then when it would get hot they would push the mud out. It would be kind of crowded, like if like Davy Crockett had like 9 siblings, I think it was. How it would be really crowded.
I'm sorry?
Are you like a park ranger?
I'm a seasonal park ranger here at the Davy Crockett birthplace. And where we are now is at the Davy Crockett birthplace, where we're establishing a homestead that would have been very much like the original homestead that the Crockett's established here when David's father, John Crockett, moved here with his family in 1780. Now, John Crockett was a Revolutionary soldier. He was a member of the Nolichucky Settlement Militia, and he was one of the over mountain men who fought at the Battle of Kings Mountain. Well, when the settlers first came to this area, John Crockett, among them, would have built a very crude cabin, maybe someplace would put a roof over the family's head to keep them out of the rain and the weather. May have established a crop, and soon after could have built a bigger cabin. But what you see right behind you over here is very typical of what the original cabins were like. It was a very crude affair. It was made of, if you notice the logs, between the logs is what we call chinking. And the chinking is a mixture of mud, straw, and cow manure. That basically fills up the gaps in the walls. Sometimes during the hot summer months, when folks were getting, may not have a lot of airflow, and was getting hot in the cabin, they would punch the chinking out just to get a little bit of air in there. Now, David was born in 1786, 6 years later, and he was one of 9 children. So you can imagine it would have been mighty crowded in this cabin, wouldn't it? Well, who's not to say that they may have built a bigger cabin by that time? Well, by the time David was about 7 or 8 years old, the family moved from this property and moved shortly over to near Raytown, nearby. And then finally, John took his family over to Morristown, where John opened up a tavern. And you can visit the tavern today, the Crockett Tavern. But what you see here is pretty much typically what you would have found on these old frontier homesteads. This is where David's story begins.
So isn't there like a story of how like Davy Crockett like missed school and then he like ran away?
Well, the story goes was that David, a couple of his brothers and such, attended a small one-room school, and unfortunately there was a bully at the school who gave David a bad time. May have beat him up on occasion, and David decided that he was not going to go back to school. And so what he did during the school hours was spend a lot of time in the woods and forests. This is where he loved to spend a lot of his boyhood. Well, one day the schoolmaster arrives to the Crockett home over in Morristown, where the Crockett Tavern is today, inquiring, asking about where David has been. He hadn't been coming to school. Well, John Crockett was kind of surprised about that, because he thought his boy was going back to school. Well, as it turned out, David was playing hooky, and so John was going to punish David for this. He was going to give him a little whooping with a good piece of hickory stick. Well, David wasn't going to stand for that, so he ran out the door, and his father, John, was chasing him through the woods. Well, his father could never catch up with him. David was a little faster and a little quicker, and folks didn't see him for about 3 years, until he later returned home a little bit older. He was about 15 years old at the time, and he returned to the tavern, and finally one of his sisters recognized him and said, "Well, by jinkies, there's my brother David." And well, David had a happy homecoming after 3 years, and he writes later that he really never said anything about it while when he returned home, because he thought he was still deserving of that whooping he was going to get when he ran away.
And then like, did he go like, then then he like moved to Texas, and he like got married, and then he found this good terrain, and then he like somehow got his way into the Battle of the Alamo.
Yep. So he finally ended up in Texas and fought the Battle of the Alamo, and that's where he died. And right now you're standing on the spot where he was born. This is where his story begins. And this over here is a bobcat. And we got beaver, a beaver pelt. And I know what this fella is over here, hanging on the wall. Skunk. We're finishing up a chicken coop over here. That's what that rectangular building is over there. This building over here, that's a spring house. You know what a spring house is, don't you? It's like an old-timey refrigerator. Yeah, usually they were built over springs, and that helped keep your food cool. This garden here, this is our herb garden. The fence around the herb garden is called wattling. It's a wattle fence, and it has a very Indian influence. Kind of keep the small critters out of the garden. Over there is our pig pen. We're going to have pigs in the pen, and over where the folks are over there, that's our corn crib. The large patch of open ground over there is our cornfield. We're going to be having our second crop over there. Of course, here's the cabin, and that's our vegetable garden.
Eric? Thank you.
Well, you're certainly welcome. Come back and visit us, okay?
Okay. So guys, this is about the end of this video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. Please like, please subscribe, and also please comment, guys. I will see you all in the next video. Bye!